It's 2:30 p.m. here in the capital, Tehran. You're watching Press TV's Top 5. I'm Kanis Fatima. Many thanks for joining us this hour. Now, Syria says the eastern city of Dayr has been fully purged of Daesh Takfiri terrorists. According to the Syrian media, government forces, along with the allied army units, have been bombarding Daesh areas in Dayr and advancing into the city. Earlier, army officials said Syrian forces were on the brink of retaking the al-Hawiqa district, the last Daesh-held area in Dayr. Syrian forces started the battle for Dayr in September to end the terrorists' nearly 3-year siege and government-held parts of the city. The Takfiris had been in control of most areas since 2014. Joining us via Skype from Bali is Barry Grossman. He's an international lawyer and activist. Many thanks for joining us here on Press TV, Mr. Grossman. Now, yet another victory against the Daesh Takfiri terrorists on the ground in Syria. How do you make these strategic wins as far as that larger fight against terrorism within the region?
Well, obviously there's a long way to go, but this hopefully brings to an end the tragic story of Dayr. It's worth reminding people what actually happened there. That is to say, the area originally taken by rebel forces and insurgents was subsequently taken in 2014 by so-called ISIL forces, who expelled the rebels and held the government areas under siege since that time in 2014, launching numerous assaults on the government-held areas, at various times killing hundreds of civilians and government forces, in some instances by beheading. They cut off power to the city. They were starving over 200,000 people, and it was a tragic situation. So we're happy to see this come to an end. But it's also worth pointing out that this has come to an end without any great help from the U.S.-led coalition forces. And in fact, it was only almost exactly a year ago that the U.S. forces carried out about 37 sorties, bombing raids, on an area immediately next to the Daesh airport that was being held by government forces and had long been a strategic target by ISIL. So rather than supporting the cause of regaining the area and liberating Dayr, the U.S.-led coalition found it necessary to do bombing runs on government-held areas, which led to the deaths of quite a few Syrian soldiers. It's also, I think, worth emphasizing here the role, the heroic role played by Hezbollah in these latest battles. There's more than 8,000 Hezbollah soldiers in the area helping to secure the territory. And it's worth reminding people that Hezbollah has played a very important role in these battles, notwithstanding attempts by the international community led by the USA to try and characterize Hezbollah and the armed resistance as terrorists. Quite the opposite is, of course, true. So we're happy to see this. We're happy to see the more than 200,000 people who were besieged in Dayr liberated, and we certainly hope that the victories will continue, so this horrendous saga of rebel activity in Syria can be brought to an end and peace brought back to the region.
Right, Mr. Grossman, we have just about 30 seconds left. If possible, can you just walk us through your future vision for Syria once Daesh is purged from the area? We do know that that Iran and Russia have proposed a face-to-face summit of the Syrian government and opposition forces. What do you make of that?
Well, it certainly isn't my place to argue. The governance of Syria is for the people of Syria. There clearly are people who are not satisfied with the way Syria was governed. There's room for improvement, but that said, Bashar Assad won the election fair and square with an overwhelming majority. There's no one around to replace him, and we'd like to see these issues resolved in a manner that reflects the interests of Syria and Syrians and maintains its territorial integrity, rather than in a manner that reflects the interests of the Atlantic world and Israel. So we live in hope, and we pray that we will soon see the end of this unfortunate series of horrors that have taken over in Syria over the last 5 and 6 years.
Let's hope so. That's international lawyer and activist Barry Grossman joining us via Skype from Bali. Mr. Grossman, thank you very much indeed for your comments here on Press TV.